more passive from Hanwha Life Esports. Speaking of, potentially the Vayne coming through once again. Very risky, I feel, in this matchup against Gen.G.
Yeah, you know, it's once again we're seeing it into the Samira. So I think a lot of teams have kind of bought into this idea that yes, Vayne is good into Samira, but we also saw the Vayne kind of fall flat on its face in Game 3 of T1 versus KT, where it was kind of just zoned away by a lot of threats. So we'll see what else Gen.G have in store and what is going to be in the mid lane, because it's not going to be Yone. There's way too much physical damage, of course, on the side of Hanwha Life, so that might make some Chovy fans unhappy, but the guy can carry on other stuff, so we're not really concerned. Maybe BDD will play. You know, we got Talia in the game.
It's possible. It would certainly be a big statement to bring it back. It could also be banned here as well. I think it would be a pretty reasonable ban. It feels kind of awkward, for sure, to ban that, given everything we've seen so far. But I think it is a solid option. Another option to ban would be the Lucin, which could be very strong with this as well. They banned the Rel, which has been such a great pairing for Samira. And it does really start to feel, you know, you and I have been talking about this, we've been talking about it with Atlas as well. It does really start to feel like Rel creeped up as one of the strongest supports, one of the easiest to execute supports in the LCK. After everyone in Kesper Cup was like, that champion's not that good. Early on in the LCK, we weren't seeing it that much, but it's risen in popularity so suddenly. And for good reason, because it's really easy to execute roams around the map. It's really easy to set up skirmishes in lane and get a better oppressive bot lane prio is the Shen ban.
No way.
We saw this earlier, hovered.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, this is not happening. Like, we're in some kind of Twilight Zone if that was actually picked. It looks like they're gonna wait. They're gonna save the surprise
Counterpick,
for their final pick. Yeah, the counterpick makes sense. The Alistair is going to come in here. And I like the Shen ban too. Of course, the big shield for the Vayne, but also obviously the delivery systems of Camille Olaf alongside of something like a Shen is really deadly. Especially cross-map plays, it can get pretty insane. So I do like that ban.
Yeah.
As Gragas will be coming in here.
So take the Gragas ban. I mean, the Galio ban feeds into what you were talking about as well. They don't want that top lane to snowball out of control. They want to give Rascal an opportunity to play a passive Gnar game. And surprise, surprise, locking on another Syndra game for BDD. We'll never know what other champions he's been scrimming or playing recently, because he's I think 7 for 8 on the Syndra now. As this is the big question mark, what is Chovy going to play? The Ari teased a few times.
Oh, yeah.
But it looks like it might just be the Akali, and there it is.
Nice.
So another assassin pick here for Chovy, who could once again get a tempo lead, dominate early. Against something like a Syndra, it's very difficult to pull that off because she has her Sky of the Week, and she can be very survivable, very safe throughout the laning phase. But I feel like what's really scary for me for Hanwha Life Esports is that Talia pick. You know, we talked about it very briefly at the beginning of the draft, and we've kind of gone around the loop as to where these matchups are going to go and what champions are going to get locked in with it. But when you go back to the Talia pick, I feel like she has insane rotation speed. She's going to make this Akali pick way weaker in terms of potential mid-prio, because you always have to wonder where Talia is and how quickly she can rotate in. You might get cut off. And Akali has somewhat of an escape, right, you could argue, but not a great one. So you have to play a lot more passively into this Talia pick. And I think this is going to be one of those games where Hanwha Life Esports are going to look for late game, look for deft on the Vayne to carry as we head to that phase of the game. And for the side of Gen.G, you're trying to get that tempo advantage with the Talia. You're trying to get the Samira to pop off in a lot of these early fights. And it can be very successful if they get that early lead.
Yeah, I think if they fall behind, there are just so many buttons that Hanwha Life can press in team fights that make the team fights just be like this one big slaughter fest, right? Everybody can kind of jump into the back line. So much mobility, the ability to pick off champions left and right. It's like it's almost like an assassination composition or something, even though there's only one traditional assassin, I suppose you could say. There's going to be a lot of mechanics that Gen.G will have to be clean on, I would say, and try to get that early lead and try to shut down the insane laning and mechanics of some of these Hanwha Life players. and try to get Ruler into a spot that we saw Hybrid in a similar spot, you know, Samira versus Vayne in the late game, where you can kind of just hit that ult and shred through some of the squishiness of the Hanwha Life esports side.
Yeah, you know, in this case, Deft will have us. BDD is not happy.
Who's got the better emotes here?
I mean, I love some Kings on Dragon X, so I'm gonna have to go with BDD. love to see the Legacy Esports logos coming through. Whenever I see a Samsung logo in LCK, I get a little bit excited.
Yeah, I wanted to vote for BDD because he was the only player that had a B emote. So I'm a big fan of the B emotes.
So is Peanut.
Yeah, Nongshim as a whole, especially Rich and Peanut together, they love their B emotes.
In this this composition for Hanwha Life Esports too, I wonder how much room Vista and Chovy and Arthur, I mean honestly even arguably Morgan as well, can buy for Deft, because they have to be super aggressive and super proactive. And with the seismic shove, with the Scatter the Weak, there's a lot of ways to peel for the players who are really going to be frontlining and trying to buy space for Deft to actually do his damage as we get to the later parts of the game. And just taking a look at Chovy's stats here, pretty good. But you name a champion he plays in the mid lane, and you're going to be looking at 60% plus. So I do wonder how safe it will be for Deft to actually do damage in those later parts of the game, even if he gets the right items, even if he scales up well, even if he gets ahead. How safe will he be against such a dangerous composition that Gen.G has, that has so much CC and so much lockdown? It's hard to say.
Yeah, absolutely. And some quick maths here. It looks like 7-0 is going to be the current win streak for Talia. She has the highest presence in the LCK, and that's mostly ban. When she comes out, she wins. So yep. That's why we were going nuts in the pick ban, because the fact that this pick even makes it through is news. And we'll see what Clid can do on it, as he's going for a bit of an invade here. Already getting aggressive onto Arthur. Arthur taking more damage from the red buff as he goes. And Clid not going to extend too far, but he does have BDD coming in here as well, looking for that smite. It is going to go the way of Clid. And there's that stun and follow-up from the Talia, as Arthur will try to fight, but not able to do too much.
Such a great flash.
Getting very aggressive in here. Chovy over the wall, looking for BDD, but BDD follow flashes the other way. Now trying to get on top of Clid. Is Chovy just going to get fed in this game as well? Really nice seismic shove does come out from Clid, buying himself some time. Rascal going 1v1 onto Morgan. Clid does get the kill with the rocks there, just barely.
It just feels like
an insane early trade again.
These two teams are angry. We're seeing such crazy aggression and such commitment to trades. And this type of play is extremely volatile, right? I mean, everyone's down to like less than 40 hit points at the end of this fight, and if things go even just slightly differently, you might have a 3-0 for Gen.G. So to push the issue here is really, really scary for Hanwha Life Esports. They do trade one back, as Arthur, you know, ends up being the first target, but turns around and is going to head down here bot. You can see the power of Talia, though, already, because any other jungler wouldn't have been able to go all the way in that deep into red side to make this chase happen, to look for a steal like that. Here we go, teleport as well.
So aggressive coming in from Hanwha Life. Do they have the damage? It looks like they will be able to take out Life, and they immediately will get out of there. And we see the zoom in. Chovy is 2-0 in this game. Can it happen again, Wolf?
I mean, it certainly can. But you might want to go back to lane and get some of that experience. He's currently 17 CS down, which means that BDD is probably pretty even in gold with the kill he also picked up. And BDD's like, all right, well, I'm going to take a little bit of a top roam real quick. Just wants to check out the warding in the top lane, because if he could actually... I thought for a moment he was going to go ward that brush, and then maybe he'd look for a teleport himself. Later on. Actually, it's on cooldown at the moment, so that's not going to be the case, but goes up and checks the warding regardless. Thought maybe he was going to look for maybe a late game kind of deep play there if Morgan was overextending. And he's just going to play this mid matchup pretty safely, Scar of the Week, to just keep Chovy off his back a little bit. Chovy does have 2 stacks on that Dark Seal as well early on in this game. Bought that one early to try to snowball Because we normally see Akali actually play top right now, but you have a lot more kill potential in the mid lane.
Yeah, you know, it depends on the matchup for sure. And against the Syndra, there is that ability. It'll be interesting to see how BDD itemizes into this, especially with the early kill lead here for Chovy. Does he go into some defensive items at all? As we do have Arthur making his way up to the top side. This control ward controlling that area. Stun is going to miss here. The Shroud still available. Seismic Shove will not be attempted. This Rascal is going to face check this one, trying to bait out that flash, but just hops on his own minions. Good timing there from the minions.
Yeah. Vision here to both players as well. And Klid's rotating up. He does not have his ultimate yet, actually. The Weaver's Wall not ready to try to cut this squad in half. It actually still stays here until Arthur finishes his back. I don't think he's going to be able to make anything happen here. He's going to back as well. Without 6, there's just simply no kill play here, especially with Morgan respecting the possibility that he was there. We see Chovy back in lane as well, teleporting back home to grab another item. He's going to go ahead and grab boots and another amp tome. So going to be a lot harder to lock down now, the Merc Treads.
Yeah, pretty obvious item, I feel, against Syndra Talia. You just, you deny so much damage just like that, and also the CC, obviously, life even, going to add more magic damage into the comp. So we'll have that to add some more survivability, some lengthiness to his trades as he goes into it. Klid, now on the bottom side, he is now level 6. Gonna look to bait out some flashes here. We got Hex Flash over the wall, see you later, as Deft is also going to have to flash. So they get the flash out of Deft in the trade for the Weaver's Wall. Definitely a nice win for Gen.G.
Definitely going to be huge for them. And, you know, there's a possibility we just see that repeated almost on cooldown as soon as the next Weaver's Wall is ready. Right now, Chovy in a very risky spot, trying to gain some information. Does decide to back off here. Had lane prio, so, and still does. So deciding to get a little bit of extra information if he could. Doesn't see this rotation in, but everybody obviously knows, or he knows where everybody is at the moment, just based on the fact that there's no vision of them anywhere else. And right now, for the state of the game here, we have another pretty passive one. You know, we had a pretty fiery start, those crazy skirmishes right outside of Hanwha Esports' base, but I guess maybe I jinxed it, because we're going to have a trade here.
Yeah, let's take a look at this. They want to hand this one over to Chovy if possible. I mean, it's good on the Camille too, but this is going to be a pretty easy trade. They actually hand it to Chovy. They're not messing around. I mean, he's got the Dark Seal, so another 2 stacks on this guy. He's 3-0 again with a massive lead in kills.
And it's just, the funny thing is, it's these DRX players who've scattered themselves around multiple teams who are just popping off and carrying. You know, between Chovy and Doran today especially, you really feel like you start to wonder, like, how good DRX might have been this season if they stayed together. And sometimes when you have super high potential players like that, so we're going to watch this replay here. Sometimes when you have super high potential players like that, that are very strong, they don't always work together well. And sometimes you see them find better strengths elsewhere. I don't know if we don't know if that's necessarily true for these players just yet, but so far we know they are very good, even isolated outside of DRX.
Yeah, like literally every single one of them. Yoshi and Karya, you have them in. Obviously, the other 3 we have talked about at length even today. And yeah, it's pretty cool. You know, sometimes they're greater than the sum of their parts when you just split them up.
Yeah.
Or maybe I said that saying backwards, but you get my point. Like,
oh, I think you said it right.
Yeah. Either way, like, they're just individually, they're just such strong players that perhaps couldn't put it together. I mean, they had a successful season. Don't get me wrong, but like, you know, with the amount of skill they have in their lineup, maybe they could have achieved more.
Yeah, I mean,
as you're mentioning,
they weren't as popular, or perhaps as well spoken as the Rocks Tigers, who also split up after Worlds, but you could draw a lot of comparisons actually to these 2 teams and how they looked great together. Looked like a team that could stay together and really build up something greater in the following season after failing to win Worlds, but they split, and individually across teams, they are looking fantastic. As once again, Morgan looking for something here. Isn't going to find it. Another passive game that we're watching between these two teams, like game one. Farm
Except
simulator.
Chovy.
Yeah, Chovy's getting some done.
Who's everybody, everywhere rather, and maybe also everybody actually. As we're looking for Vista to potentially engage. Not sure if they know that Clit is here.
They shouldn't know, but Chovy seems to be aware. Like they haven't physically seen him. They didn't have vision, but I think Chovy is very aware.
That's okay. Arthur gonna take a burst. But you can see that, oh, he's actually going to commit to the Ragnarok as well, so just showing respect. Doesn't want to get followed up on there as, okay, going to roll over the wall. Here comes the teleport, but also BDD will follow as in will go Chovy, but immediately just kind of used as a disengage tool. Teleports down, matches the teleport, and says, okay, get away from my bot lane friends.
Yeah, flash for a teleport is kind of the trade here. They also got Arthur's Ragnarok. You know, you'll take that. It's not as important. But the threat of the cask, actually, I think is what was really scary for Hanwha Life Esports in that exchange, and why they played that so passively and respectfully. Life didn't get to accomplish that. Had to flash himself with the rotation coming in, but ends up being a whole lot of ado about nothing. So we will see the Rift Herald actually committed here with the wave that comes with that skirmish fight and Drake. So a lot of gold funneled into this Samira. Once again, when you see, usually the second Drake is often where the Samira does have that shield bow completed, and will be able to look for that big skirmish fight. That's a really tough fight for Hanwha Life Esports to take.
Oh boy, here we go. Miss on the flash stun, but the Hextech Ultimatum probably going to get the job done anyway. Rascal will flash, though. Doesn't look like they'll have the ability to catch up. Will they die? The answer will be no. As Hanwha Life not able to convert on the 2v1.
Chovy's coming. I don't think this is realistic. They're just going to force him to back and grab extra turret plates. So still a, you know, pretty big win here. Grabbing the flash and turret plates. And Chovy is just sitting in free farm in the mid lane. Once again, he's got his Hextech Alternator now. This next Drake fight, I think, is really going to be what sets the pace of this game. And, you know, obviously, depending on which Drake we get, it's going to be either Infernal or Mountain, so both really good souls. That lead could be one of those things that Gen.G is going to be able to utilize against this very, very snowbally Chovy in the mid lane. Try to take fights on their terms, try to use the power of that potentially Infernal Soul or Mountain Soul to force team fights on their terms. I mean, they're on blue side, they can get there pretty quick, sort of control that vision. So I do like the position here for Gen.G if things stay stable for this next fight. The Immortal Shield Bow is finished like I was talking about. So that's going to be ready for the fight. There's another skirmish here.
That was a nice boomerang, actually.
Yeah.
It's rough to land that onto a hook-shotting Camille, but he actually, you know, he certainly passed physics class or geometry class or maybe both with that play. Didn't look like much, but it was pretty cool to me. And, yeah, you know, just a lot of early trading. Again, I'm like trying to bait out some more action. There's not much happening. Okay, here comes Clit. And Morgan actually not going to be able to get over that wall as he is in a rough spot. No flash available. That's going to be the kill handed over to Rascal. As you can see, they are playing it carefully down here. Hanwha Life maybe looking for the dive.
Yeah, they know Chovy is still mid, so I don't know about face checking this one. But they know Chovy is still mid. You can see the rotation down now. They're actually going to go towards their inner turret. So there's a lot of pings. Unfortunately, Clit doesn't have Weaver's Wall since he just used it. But he can rotate very quickly with his wall ride. And you know what? This is a lot of resources spent for Hanwha Life Esports without accomplishing anything. And look at the top lane. Like, Rascal is like, yeah, just hold him down there. I'm up 40 CS, by the way. Looking for more. Looking for some turret damage.
Yeah, it's kind of like a trade of objectives, right? You're getting the tower down on the bottom side, where the Gnar gets the tower on the top side. Obviously, this is going to be pretty nice for Rascal, but also that turret gold going the way of death will help him be able to scale up pretty nicely.
Yeah, and not to mention, Khalid gets his top camps and is actually even potentially going to grab this Rift Herald because they have the top prio here so well that it feels like Hanwha Life Esports are unfortunately just one step behind with these rotations. They're ended up being trades, but they're slightly favorable for Gen.G every time. We do have Life here hiding in this brush. I just don't think without the vision here, Hanwha Life Esports cannot contest. Clid gets the eye. And it feels really good if you're a Gen.G fan to watch Clid play this Talia game after having such a rough pull-off game in game number 1 where he was just getting run down, non-stop by Chovy, not able to do anything, not able to play the game. He had his amazing Baron steal, of course, but ended up being inconsequential. But this time, because of all the other priority bans around the Gen.G squad, he gets the Talia pick. And he's making a big impact on it so far here.
Yeah, he's been looking good. All of his Weaver's walls have been pretty much game-changing, so gotta hand it to him. Sometimes in solo queue, it's pretty difficult to set up those plays, but here in pro play, you begin to see even the greater power of that ability. And you were even mentioning like the ability to kind of get to a lane really fast. We saw that before as going to try to help out Ruler here, and with the Hextech Ultimatum and Teleport that are coming in, he will actually look to back away. A nice stun up against the wall here from Rascal into the Seismic Shove. That's what Talia loves so much, but here comes Chovy.
Here comes Chovy.
He's got some help. You even see depth in the river. Chovy is going to be looking for some plays. BDD is very behind the play. His teleport is 5 minutes away. Kill given over to depth. They're going to be looking for more. Samira into the ultimate, but it just does not matter. Another kill goes to depth as Arthur will take down one himself, and that is a massive turnaround here for Hanwha Life.
Chovy gets ignited, but survives regardless. There's just no way to turn this fight because it takes too long. And this really nicely executed engage here for Hanwha Life Esports, a nicely executed collapse. There's no way for Ruler to get his rank S. Like, he's not able to use his ultimate here. And you can see when he realizes, okay, I'm not getting out of here, he goes into the brush and tries to hide around the back here, hoping that maybe, just maybe, he can actually get that online and turn the fight. Well, actually, this is the first part of the fight where he's not looking for it, but he's going to do it again after they get the first kill. But yeah, this is where he's like, oh, okay, I see Chovy. Maybe I can get my rank S down here and turn this around, but it's just so hopeful. Rascal is also basically dead before the fight even starts. Really nice engage from Vista. And you can see the rank S is popped, but to what avail? Chovy eats the gameplay button and walks away scot-free. So really nice rotation for Hanwha Life Esports, but they lose more on the map. Mid-turret going down to that Herald we talked about.
Yeah, Ruler just not able to burst enough yet. He needs more items, and then we're going to see that be kind of the game-changing ultimate ability. Not quite there yet, not when he's 1v4 in that scenario. Just a really good map play and response from the side of Hanwha Life. Just really mobile and responding well to the threats so far. And I think that BDD and the guys on Gen.G kind of being out-rotated there, just not able to clamp down as fast. Morgan thinking about it from the brush. We got another teleport play coming in here. Looks like this one is going to be Chovy. How about we feed another kill to the Akali that hasn't died yet? What is he now, 4-0?
I think 5-0. We'll take a look at it here. No, you're right. 4-0. Yeah, I gave him more credit than was due, but it feels like it's hard to give too much credit to Chovy in this series. Yeah, I mean, Rascal is getting to the point where, with how fed Chovy is right now, you just can't side lane. It feels like we've seen this movie before. In this case, a little bit more of an interesting exposition leading to the climax of Chovy. Then the last one is...
Look at this.
Yeah, it just... Oh, another side laner? Okay.
So he's got his flash, so maybe he could try to avoid the ground pound? I don't even think he used it here, to be honest. Okay, he's still going to go for it. There's no escape. Gameplay button onto Vista does nothing. And how about another kill to the 10 Dark Seal stack, 5-0 Chovy.
So I was right. He was 5-0. Ah.
Yeah. Oh, you were just looking at the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know.
I'm always looking at different timelines. Sometimes it's hard to line them all up. Well, I mean, this is two players out of position. Rascal tries a side lane. BDD tries a side lane. And this is a game that can really start to get away from you really fast, unfortunately, if you're Gen.G against this pick. And we're going to see Morgan start trading, and Rascal realizes what's happening. He's like, oh, no, I know Chovy's coming. He's actually trying to go towards the river because he's like, maybe somebody can save me, but no. And we're going to see this again. Remember, this is a game where later on, the Vayne pick becomes so incredibly powerful, becomes so scaled to the highest level of what the potential is, and we're wondering, oh, how much peel is there going to be for Deft here? How much safety is there going to be? You know, how much can Chovy accomplish on this Akali to buy space for him? Well, I think we have our answers here. And this just gets worse and worse for Gen.G as time goes on.
Yeah. So, okay, he's got the most gold in the game by over 1,000. He's gonna buy Lichbane, so oh man, we might just begin to see him like two-shot people in these fights, because Lichbane, I feel like people are slowly but surely building more and more of it. It feels pretty good nowadays from what I've seen.
Yeah.
And you know, again, in game 2 we saw it where it's like, okay, this shouldn't be happening in pro play, where like one player is just getting this fed and carrying single-handedly. But he's gonna try to make it happen twice in a row.
I think,
where it's like, okay, we're kind of like breaking the mold of what is pro play against Chovy. Like, does he just make games by himself?
Yeah, well, we've seen the more stable, safe mage play has been the norm, right? Closer changed that a little bit with his Aurelia earlier on this season. We're seeing Chovy do it now with very hyper carry Yone and now the Akali. And most Akalis are actually building the Rift Maker, right? And then using that to do insane damage over time. But he's actually trying to snowball this even further. And, you know, with the item build he has now, it's easier to even chase down players who are trying to escape in the side lane. He is side lane police. Like, he is able to control anyone who steps over the midpoint on the map. And even Rascal under turret here feels like it's not safe. He is, for the moment. But Chovy can chase down and kill anyone with this build. One-shot people, basically. Just one-combo them, as you said. And the question becomes, how do you lock this player down anymore? And you can have, you know, defensive cast, you can have Scatter the Weak, but he's just such a difficult player to lock down. I mean, it's a difficult champion to lock down. Extremely mobile. And he's got a stopwatch even, so good luck. It starts to feel like this game is getting out of control. And Gen.G have lost.
And again, it's a little bit of what we saw the last time around, where it's like, okay, Chovy's really fed, obviously really fed, like super far ahead of everybody else, but there's still big threats outside of Chovy. You know, it's not only Chovy. And I was thinking in the beginning of this game when Gen.G were ahead and it was really like only Chovy who was like 2-0, 3-0 slowly. I'm like, this might be a little bit of a different game where Chovy has to hard carry a bit more because he doesn't have support. But no, after the last two team fights, once again, we're kind of in a very similar mid-game state where, you know, Deft he's snowballing out of control. And Deft is having great games as well. It's just kind of outshone by the insane solo carry of Chovy. Yeah. And, you know, he's 2-0-2 on a super fed Vayne, and he's still getting outshone. So that kind of tells you the current situation of this series right now.
Yeah, you just can't move around the map to try to match rotations alone. You can't clear vision alone, so you have to move around grouped, which just innately makes your presence on the map much weaker. As Ruler here is going to get, he's not going to be able to defend this turret. It takes a little bit of damage, but right now, like, BDD has to be careful in the top lane. Like, he wants to push this lane out, but he can't. It's not safe. He has to farm under turret. You see the push in the bot lane, the side lane there for Rascal. He's got to walk away. There's no way for him to actually push that any further. And like you said, like, Deft is having a good game, but he's just getting free farm. Nobody can threaten him. Look at the setup here for Arthur and Vista. Like, there's personal bodyguards, whereas Chovy's off doing more important stuff. And this was a game where the tempo advantage initially went to Gen.G with his Talia pick. They had such good control over the map. They were winning those skirmishes, but Chovy his solo queue popped off. He did it on his own, and now this game has changed.
Yeah, we're back in this scenario, and I feel like, you know, comparing the two champions that we've seen here, because we have a lot of downtime, right? We saw insanely fed Yone, and now insanely fed Akali, and we haven't really seen him, like, pop off and get, like, crazy solo kills. I feel like Akali has a bit more burst, whereas like Yone's got like a bigger leash, right? Like,
yeah.
You can go farther down the lane and still have an escape route with that the Unleashed Soul, and
there's
Mejai's is purchased now. So like, if he gets onto anyone, I think that this Akali can burst someone down in almost under 2 seconds, right? Unless it's like a Gragas,
yeah,
or a Gnar. Even Gnar, you know, he doesn't have that much MR at this point in time. So I just wonder, like, I want to see what Chovy's going to show us in terms of burst potential out of this Akali, and kind of show us a different flavor of his carry tonight.
Yeah, I think that's a really good way to describe it. As Gen.G right now just desperate for vision. They don't know where he is, and guess what? Okay, at least they spot him right before he blows somebody up. But this is where, how do you take Baron vision back here? You know, if you're Gen.G, how do you take that? How do you wrestle control of that? And you see the side lanes. Both players have their teleports. But right now, Gen.G have full Baron.
No, not again. Yeah, here comes the TP coming in, and the flash will arrive as Chovy says, "Okay, yeah, sure, Clid, you want to come over?"
Yeah, he gets off the wall.
My guest. Yeah, Clid's like, "Oh, oops, I'm sorry, sir. Yes, please go on with your day."
But look at this.
No problem.
They all rotate bot, and then Chovy is like, "All right, clear these wards and maybe threaten a Baron play, at least a defensive Baron setup." He is rotating in. He doesn't have teleport, so this is Gen.G is like one timing to actually find something here.
Oh god, here we go. He's gonna hit the Shuriken on someone, and he just does insane damage. Look at the room that's being created for Deft as well. There is just no hope in this game for Gen.G to do anything against the damage that Hanwha Life have stacked up in this game. It is insane.
Minion wave on mid. Ruler can't get in. Thumbs up from Chovy here. As look at where Arthur's headed. He's ready to start a Baron. He's ready to win this game. He said, "I had enough illegal edges tonight. Chovy's still in my spotlight. I guess I'll go take the Baron start and we'll move on with our lives here." Drake's up in 15. So Chovy's over here to make sure nobody is going to try to ward that. He actually is a great player to help clear this, because if he ends up having a vision fight with somebody individually, he can actually kill them. Speaking of which.
Ooh, Rascal. You can see Chovy's playing with the idea. If he landed a couple more of those Qs, I think he would have gone. Oh, he's just going to go for it. He's going to assassinate that player immediately. Ruler just disappears off the map.
Gone. You can't even play with vision against this type of carry. And I think, you know what, I think this is, you know, we had that crazy Udyr game. That was the really biggest, like, off-meta thing we've seen so far in LCK. But carry assassin play could be something we see evolve in the LCK. As Baron buff is up, they get the Drake, but this is a very, very big tussle that I don't think that they win.
Arthur doesn't want to be outdone. You said it before. He's like, please let me do some carrying. Oh, man. Vista sets it up. Arthur knocks it down. And I don't know. I feel like, again, I've kind of been just teleported into a solo queue game. It's like somebody invited their master-level Smurf friends to come play with a bunch of gold players or something. Like, I don't know what's going on, to be honest. This is just going to be, again, BDD is just dead. Well, okay. No. Second R comes in, easily scooped up, and there's Legendary for Chovy. 8-0, again, 2 games in a row.
Well, this should be the push to end, or at least to grab multiple inhibitors. I guess they still have an inhibitor turret mid and that inner turret. But, I mean, they have Baron buffs for another minute 40, so who knows how deep this rabbit hole goes. But Chovy is, he's walking through the base casually, you know, over here for the flank.
What?
Not even concerned.
Look at him.
Yeah, look at him go. I do stand by what I was getting into earlier. We saw so many Akali bans early on in the season, and then she just started going through drafts and she started losing priority because no one was playing her.
Okay.
But this is
all right.
why.
Let's see it. Let's see it.
Chovy.
Can they kill Chovy 1v4? You can see they're scared. They're like, I don't know. I'm not really sure. They're gonna continue the chase, but they're not gonna actually go for that one. Just a little bit of posturing. Chovy's like, oh, I don't even have to back. Let me stay over here.
All right. Well, this is gonna be just a straight up tragedy. Because we're gonna watch Chovy slide in. Oh. Hello. Goodbye. I mean, I don't know what to tell you guys except this is what an insanely fed Akali looks like. This is why, at least in this game, we watched the Chovy highlights later on, like all as a compilation. But this is why Akali was banned so much early on. His performances like this, teams started to feel like they were comfortable dealing with this. And at the highest level of play, you know, you thought, okay, players like BD should be fine in lane. This should be okay. Like, Chovy can't. There's no way he's going to outperform every other team and be the guy who goes 8-0-4 and whatever his obscene scoreline was on the Yone. But this might change the perception of some of these insanely powerful snowbally champions in mid lane. We might not see as many.
I think we're about to see this game just end. Chovy has 25 stacks on the guys and Ace Onya's. He's looking to assassinate once again. Clid, no hope in hell. Arthur gonna steal that kill. It's okay. Hanwha Life are just turbo smurfing in this game. I don't know what else to say, Wolf.
There you go.
This is I got it out there.
There you go.
Shout out to Chronicler. He'll join us eventually. Give us more EU memes. Ruler gonna have to hop away. As Deft, you can see he's trying to gain some fame in this game as well. As the Samir ultimate will be popped. Chovy thought he might have been in danger for just a moment, but that is not going to happen. He's going to hand some kills over to his friends on the team. What a generous guy. As Hanwha Life just going to push in and look to end this game. See that the burst does come down onto Deft, but now Chovy is going to punish you.
Goodbye, Life.
Oh. Yeah, not much else to say. Chovy looking for more.
He's just so
fed. He can get on top of Rascal. Arthur's actually just fighting up against Clid straight up. There's going to be the 10th kill going over to Chovy. 10-0 now, as he will look for Rascal.
The minions are pushing in, and this is going to...
I feel like I don't know, I feel like I'm witnessing the birth of a king right now. This is just insane what he is able to do here. Oh, they denied him his last kill. 10-0-6. That is going to be the end of that as everybody just jumps on Chovy. Huge celebration from Hanwha Life as they just stomp what was the best team in the LCK.
Chovy's out of Griffin, he's out of DRX, he's in a newly rebuilt Hanwha Life Esports that has had its fair share of struggles. A team that was very hyped coming into the beginning of this season based upon his joining, Chovy's joining, and Def's joining. People saying, okay, this team could be top 3. How far can this team go? You know, what sort of expectations do we have? After Kespa Cup, a lot of people were like, you know, Def's had a rough start to 2020, 2021, end of 2020, 2021. You're looking at a team that has so much potential, but no team wants to hear that. We've seen so many team rebuilds fall by the wayside. We've seen so many team rebuilds struggle, even with those big, expensive pickups. But so far, Chovy has been the one. He's been the player who's brought this team into the forefront. Every single game, every loss even, that Chovy's played, he's won lane. He's gotten a gold lead. He's gotten a CS advantage. He's gotten so many assists from roaming the map. And this is something that we just don't see every day. Not in Korea right now, not in the LCK. You see slow play in the mid lane, control mages, maybe some zooming around the map with Twisted Fate. You see some teleports with the Orianna, some big shock waves in the team fights. Like, mid players can carry, but very slowly, and this is kind of just one part of the team fight. What you don't see is a Yone controlling every side lane and zipping across the map, getting solo kills, 5 solo kills in game 2, and an Akali roaming around the map, just popping off, fully stacking a Magi Soul Stealer, and just saying, this game belongs to me. They were behind. The early game control went to the Talia. There's now no longer 100% win rate. Chovy's broken that too. And this is something special. This is something unique that we saw in this best of 3. And you do have to wonder how many more of these assassin picks might be prioritized over control mages in the coming weeks. I think Chovy might be slowly raising the question, are carry assassins in the mid lane maybe the way to play this one out?
Yeah, and the other question of, like, can anyone do it like he does, you know? And can any team play around him the way they do? It was pretty obvious that, like, everybody, especially in that game 3, like, Chovy got 1 kill and then 2 kills, and we were like, wait, can we make this happen again? And, like, Morgan's feeding over kills, they're baiting fights in the bot lane for perfect rotations out of Chovy. It just turns into, like, one big feeding machine into the monster that is this mid laner. And I don't know, I hope I'm not overreacting, but, like, I almost feel like this is what it must have felt like to cast Faker when he was, like, first popping off and dominating mid laners over and over and over again with seemingly no recourse. Yes, it is only one series, but, like, BD's an awesome player. Gen.G, again, we were calling the best team in the LCK right now, even over Kia, and I don't know, like, they just made them look silly. Like, that didn't even look fair.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing, it's like they were playing with a handicap Gen.G or something. Like, oh, you got to start with Chovy with 5-0. Like, how is that even fair? It's so hard to even compute at the end of this insanely long but awesome day.
Yeah, and we talked about it even from the outset of like how that first skirmish went, as to how volatile the style of play that we were seeing from Gen.G was. Because we saw a lot of really crazy skirmishes early on and a lot of teleports, and then that kind of continued, right? The pacing was similar in terms of Game 2 in that regard, but the problem was Chovy was always there for the rotation. And so we're actually heralding Chovy as this insane mechanical god, and I feel like the difference between you know, the rise of Faker, for example, that you suggested, right? And this is that Faker had a lot of mechanical outplays around the map, and look, I'm not trying to take anything away from Chovy here, but what Chovy's done here is almost equally as impressive. It's just different. His macro rotations, his awareness on the map, and these crazy skirmishes is what turned this around, because Gen.G are trying to take a tempo advantage and run that forward to continue to get that lead, control Drakes, and then Chovy starts matching rotations and getting kills on the side of these fights, and then the longer these go on, he's starting to dive deep to get kills, and then he gets more and more powerful as he matches these rotations. Teleports coming through. This is another one of those situations where this is actually macro dominance out of Chovy. I mean, his mechanical skill, nobody doubts, especially on control mages and some of the other champions he's been playing this season. I believe this is his 7th now, so far in the LCK. But he won this game, and he won a lot of these skirmishes and fights by getting fed by good rotation, by good macro awareness, good vision control from the rest of his team. This wasn't just all him. The champion of Akali, when fed, is capable of a lot, and Chovy pressed the buttons really well and at the right times. But a lot of this was just simply matching missed opportunities from Gen.G and failed rotations that ended up feeding Chovy into insane advantages. And again, I'm not trying to take anything away from him, but it was his macro. Like, he came every time there was a side laner overextending, every time there was a really risky dive, he was there. He was never late.
Yeah, he was ahead of BDD every step of the way as well. I mean, obviously, once you get that lead going, it's you can begin to snowball a crazy state with that Akali. This is the team voice. Just listen into how they win.
Well, at this point, everybody's just bored and quiet, like, knowing, like, okay, we're going to win. But once the Nexus goes down, they get a little bit more excited.